Beautiful tornadoes, power of Mother Nature, but no injuries. How about today? We do have the risk of some severe weather. That's right. Once again, the cold front has pushed east. It's following that pattern, and from Cincinnati all the way to Bangor, Maine today, that's where we have the risk of seeing some of these stronger storms. Not so much along the coast, at least not until we get later in the day. Look at what's happening here. We've got lots of that moisture out ahead of the front. You'll notice that it starts to clear out back behind it, like around the Great Lakes. You know, yesterday, whenever you were waking up to all that thunder and lightning in Wisconsin, not an issue for you today, which is some good news. But look at this. We have this upper level jet that's in place. We've got the low level jet that's helping to create more of a wind threat for some of these. So that's going to be our concern. Damaging winds, hail going to be a possibility with any of these thunderstorms that develop. They could turn severe, and the tornado threat pretty low today. Let's talk about what's happening. We do have a couple showers north of Charleston, West Virginia right now, but that's about it. Pretty quiet on the radar, right? Well, in order for this to work, right, our future radar, it needs something to pick up on to do a really good job. It's the initialization point for these computer models. So let's see how this does. This is, again, a forecast of what could happen. I wouldn't hone in on exact timing, but it gives you an idea that we are anticipating, once again, some very strong thunderstorms, perhaps plowing through Pittsburgh and then making their way across West Virginia by the time we get to later this evening. And then some of these coastal cities, New York City, Boston, you could see some overnight showers, a couple thunderstorms as well. Tomorrow, the front's a little farther off to the east, so we're going to keep most of that threat right along the coast and a little bit closer to the morning hours rather than an overnight threat like what we'll see tonight. And that's going to actually be a little farther north as well, most of Maine, even Caribou, and on the action, Jen.
All right, a lot going on.
You know, this was a situation where we said all this weekend, hey, we've got thunderstorms in the forecast. They could turn severe, and that's exactly what we saw happen. In fact, look at all these storm reports, over 335 reports, in fact, stretching all the way from Nebraska, where we even had tornado reports, mostly hail and high winds, but look across Wisconsin, Chicago area, and then Michigan is just covered in these storm reports. There's another where we had a thunderstorm report near that area. This is Grays Lake, moderate roof damage to Grays Lake Central High School. We had power lines down, large tree branches down in the area, not to mention a small truck blown over, and they're saying possible tornado damage in that area, but we've got to kind of go in depth on this. Jen, what are you thinking?
Yeah, well, the Weather Service is actually going out today to survey that damage at Grays Lake to see if indeed it was a tornado. Sometimes it's straight line winds right here, so you got to look and see what the damage looks like to assess what caused the damage. Regardless, we have
right, a lot,
and not the only spot either.
Not the only spot, exactly. You know, we had over 330 reports. So look at this. This is in Iowa, where we did have another report of a possible tornado. Now, this is just outside Des Moines. Now, Des Moines, lately, I know you're saying, can we just get a single day without severe weather? Well, today's your day, so good day for some cleanup, unfortunately, because in Prescott, Adams County Emergency Manager is saying, hey, there's maybe a tornado on the ground there, but I think we have some video evidence.
Yes, we do. This one here.
What exactly we've got going on here? This is a current look. This is live in Tampa. This is Bayfront, and you can see a lot of the roads very wet. Obviously, it's still raining. Obviously, we still have very low visibility because the rain is still coming down. It feels like you're in a tropical system, right? That's what it feels like outside. But is it or isn't it? What's going on with this? So this is what we currently have. This is the area that we're watching. This has actually been designated an invest by the National Hurricane Center in Miami. They're saying, hey, this has about winds of 30 miles an hour. You know, it does have some interesting characteristics to it. Invest 95L, but they're just investigating it. There's only a 10% chance of this developing into anything. But that's, you know, something that we really grab onto a lot of times, I think, on our forecast. But the important thing is it's still raining a lot. The impacts are not changing. You know, we still have a ton of rain out of this, only a 10% chance over the next 5 days. So not looking likely to develop, but man, likely to still continue raining. This is a satellite image, so this is showing us our coldest, our highest cloud tops here. Obviously, Tampa to Orlando right there. That's actually, this little stretch right here is the lightning capital of our country. That's Lightning Alley, and certainly going to be the case once again today. More rain in the forecast. Look at the visible. It's just this stretch. Tampa can't get out of it. Look, you can see the higher cloud tops out here over the ocean, even an overshooting top it looks like right there in that thunderstorm. That's pretty cool. You've got some of these larger thunderstorms staying offshore, but look at all this moisture as it moves inland. Look at this large thunderstorm that we have over there too. Also a little overshooting top on it heading up toward the Space Coast. So we do have a lot of rain making its way across the state, but it's really staying focused on the west side for a vast majority of it, soaking the same area over and over again. Tampa, you are just shattering records here. Look at what we have winds-wise, not too significant. I mean, we do have a 22-mile-an-hour wind. Hey, hanging out just off the coast of Tampa. But I think the story here that we really need to grab onto is the flood potential, because it does not take something being named a tropical storm or a hurricane to cause some significant flooding in Florida, and that's exactly what's happening. It's still coming down really hard in Tampa. In fact, already at 3.58 inches so far today, Jen. Just today.
I mean, and we had that this.
But hey, later on this week, maybe a little cool off in Atlanta. I think it's high time for it. Let's talk about Memphis. This is your feels like temperature, so not your air temperature, but your feels like temperature today, peaking right in the afternoon. And I know the kids are trying to soak up their last little moments of freedom. Memphis, I believe you have some students heading back to school this week. And the thing is that it's going to be a hot one. Look, we've got this tiny little dip in the jet stream that has been kind of moderating things for us temperature-wise across the Midwest, but not in the south. The southern plains, Oklahoma into Texas, all the way down to Brownsville, temperatures are going to be 100 degrees, and it's going to feel well over that in the next couple of days. In fact, 99 degrees across Louisiana. A little bit of relief tomorrow, only 96 in Alexandria. How about today? Right? Because this is the area that we're concerned with. This swath, it extends all the way from Maine to Cincinnati, Ohio. So a very large area here. But whenever you look at the radar and whenever you look at current conditions, you're like, really? It doesn't look so convincing. So let's talk about the setup here and what's happening. It's a cold front. You know, we haven't had very much of these just kind of true blue, easy to forecast cold fronts lately. We've kind of had these different complicated setups. Well, this one isn't too complicated. You know, the cold front is where we'll be looking for a lot of the thunderstorms. And that's exactly what's going to happen. The low level jet is going to help with our wind threats. So whenever we have that wind at the lower levels, that allows some of those thunderstorms to grow a little bigger, grow a little bit stronger. Not to mention we can see some collapsing of some of those thunderstorms, and that's when we get those straight line winds, those damaging winds. So this is what the radar looks like right now. This is what I'm telling you. You're looking at this and you're saying, hey, Kate, there's nothing on that radar. It's pretty quiet. A couple showers in West Virginia. But that's what we're initializing off of. I mentioned this earlier, and this is our future radar. It's taking the current radar and it's saying, hey, let's see what might happen a little farther down the road here. And it's looking as though we are going to see those thunderstorms develop. Now, I don't want you to hone in on the individual cells or the exact timing, but it gives you an idea that we are expecting thunderstorm development through this evening and then maybe even closer to the coast through the overnight, Jen.
You know, Kate, earlier I saw